Of all my photography trips, I'm usually going out with a particular species in mind. This time, there was only uncertainty. No guarantees. This expedition to Greenland was like stepping into the unknown. Greenland was white, vast, and endless. It takes 12 hours by snowmobile to reach this old house beside a frozen sea fjord filled with giant icebergs. The dream was to photograph polar bears, and we had seen plenty of signs. This was a true expedition, one I will never forget, and I'm going to take you along the journey. To navigate in East Greenland, we're using snowmobiles. And after a good night's sleep in the Red House, we're setting off. This incredible expedition has been put together by David Gibbon, who is wearing the mustard jacket. David is the owner of Wild Lens Nature Tours, and for any upcoming photography expeditions, check out the link in the description. Let's go and find some wildlife. Today we're spending the whole day out on the snowmobiles looking for wildlife, but also there's so many amazing icebergs. This one's massive and it made an amazing like thunderous crack sound, and it actually made me jump. It's quite funny, one of our guides, Ross, has become a bit of a model for us because he's dressed quite cool, and so we've been taking photos of him and each other. Gorgeous day. It's only -2, which is very warm compared to last week's -31. More. Yes. From the air, these icebergs don't look very tall, but standing beside them you really understand the scale. And what you see is actually only around 10% of the iceberg. The rest sits hidden beneath the sea, under a few meters of ice. Driving the snowmobiles is a great way to scout a large area, but truthfully it also distracts you from fully observing the surroundings. And if it wasn't for one of our guests, Irina, we probably wouldn't have had this amazing opportunity. These are rock ptarmigan. They forage in the tundra and they have these incredible feathered feet, which help them kick through the snow. From afar, they look almost invisible. They're extremely well camouflaged against the white landscape. They were surprisingly calm. There were around 10 ptarmigan on the hill, some only a few meters away, giving us the opportunity to get close-up portraits as well as getting them on the top of the hill with that lovely blue sky as a backdrop. With the temperature only at -2 Celsius, I could actually get away with just wearing my raincoat. Obviously I had lots of thermal base layers, but especially on these sunny days, I was much more comfortable and flexible wearing less. Across the frozen fjords, there were several groups of muskoxen. Muskoxen are hunted by the Inuit people, so they are more cautious of humans. But this family group was quite relaxed. They actually watched us with curiosity, and to be honest, we were probably one of the most exciting things that they had seen all winter. Very few people venture this far in winter. Even the Inuit communities hunt much closer to the village, and we were literally in the middle of nowhere. Muskoxen are so characteristic of the Arctic wild. Built for Ice Age climates, surviving extreme cold with remarkable adaptations. We also spent some time exploring around icebergs and photographing the incredible blue ice. This is the densest, most compact ice, formed from thousands of years of compression, removing the air bubbles from the ice. We also found fresh polar bear tracks. You'd probably think that spotting something as large as a polar bear is quite easy, but we spent hours following tracks, which often disappeared into the mountains or over icebergs. The area is incredibly vast, with huge broken sections of glaciers. Witnessing the scale makes you feel small. After a day of snowmobiling in the cold, you're left exhausted, and it was nice to come back to the red house. This house actually has quite a unique story. In 1946, a husband and wife built and moved to the house in order to fish and hunt, but the isolation and the cold was just too much for the wife, and the house was abandoned a year later. Hunters still use the house in the summer months, but otherwise, no one lives here. Photographing wildlife in Greenland is unlike anything else I've experienced. The vastness, the silence, the cold, it makes every encounter feel rare and dreamlike. This place really pushed me as a photographer. We were dealing with very bright light, cold conditions, and sometimes subjects from very far away. I'm really happy to be working with Outdoor Photography Guide, who have sponsored this video. Outdoor Photography Guide is such a helpful resource. It's a whole online library of photography, videos and tutorials, all focused on the outdoors. The lessons can be really specific, from photographing wildlife in backlit to photographing in snowy environments. They also run live Q&A sessions, so you can ask the pros anything, whether it's about gear, editing, your settings. I really wish I'd known about this resource when I started. Check out my link in the video description and you can get your first full year of outdoor photography guide for only $1.49. In the early hours of the next morning, one of the guests, Trix, woke up early and started whispering, "Ice bear." That got me out of bed immediately, and in the distance, on the fjord, was a polar bear. For most of us, including myself, this was our very first wild bear. It was incredibly exciting. We watched the bear from the front of the house, walking towards a seal hole, when suddenly a second polar bear appeared from behind an island. This new bear was clearly a large male, much bigger in size. The smaller bear started running. It was difficult to focus on a white bear against a white background in such flat light. We were also quite far away. I was filming at around 1200 millimeters, but what an experience. We continued exploring new areas, spending a lot of time exploring icebergs, and we did find a gorgeous Arctic fox. Such a small, hardy animal. It baffles me how such small mammals can survive these extreme environments. We hiked in small groups to the hilltops,
The other one on the back pulls her.
yes, and the poop, looking for Arctic hares. Again, like most things, they are extremely difficult to spot, blending so well with the environment. They also often sit completely still, conserving their energy. tonight is our last night at the house on the frozen fjord, and we've had an amazing 5 days, brilliant conditions. We've seen all our target species, including polar bears. We saw 2 on the fjord, but sadly they were a bit too far away, so we were mostly just doing environmental shots, which is still very nice. But tomorrow we do make the 12-hour journey back on the snowmobiles, and I am very much looking forward to a shower and food that you can chew. A bad forecast was on the way, and with such a long journey ahead, we went to bed early and woke up at 4 AM. Our first journey to the house had taken 12 hours, so we had a long journey ahead. After crossing the fjord, we spent an hour with the Muskoxen. You can recognise the lead male by his helmet-like horns, and he's on the very right. There were also 2 juveniles with very charismatic white fringes. It was amazing to position ourselves with the mountains in the background. They sometimes stood in a line, a formation they take before charging. But they remained calm, yawning and turning their backs to us. We continued on and found more muskoxen and 2 very posy rock ptarmigan. The light was getting quite flat, making it difficult to focus against an all-white background. But this flat light was about to become a real problem. We began entering the steep river valleys, and I finally felt confident on the snowmobile. I wasn't nervous anymore, and I was riding with more speed and control. And I also had the courage to speak up when I didn't have the confidence to do the steepest sections. Then it became extremely difficult. The cloudy light had made the snow flat. There was no contrast, so we couldn't see the track, we couldn't see the steepest areas, and we couldn't even differentiate between the snow and the sky. We drove close together and made good progress. But suddenly the conditions went from bad to extreme. The wind really picked up, blowing the snow sideways. It almost felt like we were moving extremely fast, but it was just the wind tricking us. Sometimes I couldn't tell whether we were on a slope or riding on flat ground. For hours, visibility was almost zero. My goggles even froze on the inside, making it nearly impossible to see, and I actually started to feel motion sickness. The wind was also bitingly cold. It was a very intense experience, and after several hours, we finally reached an old research hut. After what we had just experienced, stepping out of the wind was such a luxury. I climbed into my sleeping bag and fell asleep almost instantly, just for 20 or 30 minutes, but I woke up, everyone was happy, eating some food, and everyone was just in good spirits. 12 of us slept in this tiny hut, but it became a big bonding experience. The next day we made the 2-hour journey back to base camp, just before the real storm began. This is how I'm going to breakfast. Let's go. Thank you. I tried to open the door earlier,
Yeah.
and all the snow was getting in.
Yeah. You sleep alright?
Yeah, great. You?
Yeah.
Walking in this is wild, but imagine driving in it.
Oh my god.
Well done.
That was wild. Hello. Eyes.
You have a little dog there.
It's a polar bear.
I've got a polar bear.
Do I have to close mine?
No. Okay, keep them closed.
Oh my
Okay, now open.
Placed that in the wrong area. Oh wow! Excellent.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, that is.
Thank you.
So the polar bear
Thank you.
is taken by David,
Thank you.
and Northern Lights is mine.
Wow.
So we should take a group photo.
you.
Oh, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
Oh yes, oh yeah, come on. Okay. You're a mess, you, aren't you? You're the problem. You're okay.
This was definitely one of the most incredible and difficult trips I've been on. But I guess it taught me what I'm capable of. This is definitely a trip I will never forget, and I want to say a big thank you to the guests. We had an amazing group who always stayed positive, and also the expedition team who always kept us safe even when it felt pretty insane. A big thank you to you watching and listening, and I'll see you very shortly in a new video.